Hello kind people of YouTube and welcome back to another video. This is going to be a short one. There's just one thing I want to talk about. Just now I read this pretty interesting interview from Breaker Mag with Reddit's Alexis Ohanian and Gary Tan. And I just thought they were so incredibly right on one particular issue here that I just wanted to talk about it for a few minutes. And in this interview they talked a bunch of stuff. Ohanian is one of the founders of Reddit, and Gary Tan and him together have a venture capital firm called Initialized, where they pretty much invest in a lot of small new companies, try to get in while they're still small. Then obviously venture capital deals, they give a certain amount of money and they get usually a part of the company for it, or there can be some other kind of arrangement. But among other things, they were an early investor in Coinbase, which of course Coinbase is the most valuable one of the most valuable companies in the cryptosphere at $8 billion valuation, as we talked about on this channel just a couple days ago. So they made a very, very good bet there. And towards the end of the interview, they started talking about what this downturn in the markets that we've experienced this year means. And I just want to read out their comments here and then let's talk about it for a few minutes, because I think they are so incredibly right about this. They understand this sphere so much. They understand the space so much better than a lot of people who are actually more heavily involved in it. These are two investors who are essentially just invested in a few crypto firms. They're not directly involved in any more concrete way, to my knowledge, and they still understand the space and what this means so much better than a lot of people who are much more heavily involved in the space. So let's get to this. Here the question. Getting back to the crypto conversation, valuations are currently way down. Is this a new normal or just a calm before the next storm? And Tan's response, calm before the next storm. How it comes out of the current crypto winter, we still think it will come back to real use cases. Next question. By that you mean that this crypto winter will return the focus in the space back towards innovation? And Tan's response here, absolutely. The last time this happened, Bitcoin went from north of $1,000 down to $250, and that winter lasted years. People started losing hope, and out of that came Ethereum. Truly useful things come out of the nadir of the last hype cycle. And Ohanian's comment, it causes all the greedy speculators to scatter, and it realigns and really incentivizes the people who are building to just build. And final question, what makes you most excited about investing in the space? And there only Tan responds, once software eats money, it can do all these interesting things. The first use case is to store value, and there's a speculative fervor around which coins will store value. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum will, but beyond that, it's a big question mark in terms of which will be valuable long term. What's more interesting to us is, can people use this technology to build something that's better, cheaper, faster? That's really what we're focused on right now. And this is such a refreshing comment to hear from people who are not all that involved in the main crypto space, from people who came out of traditional tech and traditional finance. Now these are Silicon Valley types. They are of course always rushing to get on the next big thing, always trying to get the most promising technology. Of course, as a co-founder of Reddit, here Ohanian knows exactly what he is doing. He got very, very lucky, or he was very, very savvy, or both with that. But they're recognizing something here that a lot of people, I think, are missing. The downturn we have seen this year, the crash from January that we have seen, and that to a very significant degree continues until right now, that is just a natural movement of the market. And I'm going to let you guys know what I mean with that. Let's look at the market cap here on CoinMarketCap, and we're going to look at the long term here. And this actually makes it hard to see because we had minor crashes before. But, well, it's almost impossible to see here, actually. Let's look at the Bitcoin price instead. In the really long term. And what we've seen countless times, here we see it in December of 2013, when it reached a price of $1,000. You know what happened after that? It went down and down and down and down and down and down. It hit under $200 for a while. And then it was just around $200 to $300. It picked up a bit to $400, $500, $600, $700, got closer to $1,000. It took almost 4 years to recover from that. And that wasn't the first time the price had shot up and then pulled back. And now we are seeing this. The price at almost 20,000 here in late 2017. And then it crashed again. And people are scared. People are running. People are pulling their money out. People are worried about their investments. People think their future is uncertain. But if we look at it, this is the same movement that we've seen here. We see this really high price and then it crashes down to like a third of it. Or a third. Like here it went from 1,000. It fell slowly but surely down to 400, down to 300, down to 200. It fell to a fifth of its value. And then it stayed there for a while. And during that time, people weren't paying attention. People just thought Bitcoin is dead. And at that time, keep in mind, altcoins existed, but they weren't nearly as influential as they are now. Back then, people were really just thinking in terms of Bitcoin. So what we saw happen is Bitcoin price explosion in early 2014, late 2013. All the news outlets, mainstream news was talking about it. And then the prices crashed. And everyone thought, oh, this was just a bubble. It's over now. And then for almost 4 years, the prices remained low. And people didn't pay attention. A lot of people who FOMO'd into the market around that first time it hit $1,000. A lot of those people pulled out, cut their losses, because they figured nothing would ever happen again. And during those years where the price stayed low, there was so much development in the space when people weren't paying attention. All these altcoins that we take for granted now were either being released or started development. We developed an infrastructure. We developed new technologies that innovated on what Bitcoin could do. We developed more mainstream awareness of cryptocurrencies. And all this while investors were staying away because they thought the bubble had popped. And then this happened. Whoop. Over an entire year, the prices just kept rising, and towards the end, it became crazy again. It went up at a ridiculous pace. That's the same thing we saw happen here. It was a relatively slow price increase, and then suddenly, within a couple days, it doubled. That's the same thing we saw again in late 2017. The increase was pretty slow, and then exponentially, it suddenly shot up, and then crashed, because it was too much. There was a mental block there, there was a level of hype that was unsustainable, because as much as we had developed in those 4 years since the previous high, we hadn't developed enough to substantiate a high 20 times as high as before. So it crashed. But keep in mind, this crash, still at 6 times the value of the highest we had ever seen before that. And what we're likely going to see is that this period where the prices are down, where a lot of mainstream news, a lot of mainstream investors aren't paying as much attention anymore, where for a lot of people Bitcoin is a joke, that a bubble that popped, and a lot of people think people who invested in cryptocurrencies lost all their money, when in reality anyone who invested before 2018, almost everyone who invested before 2018, made a ridiculous profit even after this crash. But we're in a similar moment now, where people aren't paying attention, but if you look closely, and my channel is trying to do that with my daily news updates where I talk about this kind of stuff, you see so much development happening. You see the markets maturing so much. After this crash, all the people who FOMO'd into the market, who wanted a quick profit, who were speculating that prices would go even higher, they fled. Most of those are gone now, and those were dangerous for the market. You don't want dumb money flowing in because people are speculating. What you want is people making assessments carefully of what certain projects can do, what their value should be, what future potential they have, and to then put their money according to that. You didn't see that when the prices shot up to 1,000 in late 2013. You didn't see that when the prices shot up to 20,000 in late 2017. But what you do see is people doing that now. And we are building such a strong basis for the markets that the next bull run, and I don't for 1 second believe that we won't see the same movement again. The next bull run will take us to unprecedented heights again. If it's anything like the last one, the next one will take us to $100,000 Bitcoin. Like the last one, we went from about 200 at the lowest to 20,000. This time we are going from 6,000 to who knows where. Even if you're comparing the previous high, 1,000, 20,000, where will the next one take us? It will likely take us very, very high. And that means after that spike, it will once again crash. And a lot of people will be scared again, because a lot of people will flood into the market when the prices start going up. and they will expect to make millions. And when they don't make those millions, or when they make money and then they don't pull out and the prices crash down again, they will flee again. And we will see a bubble once again, and that bubble will once again pop. And you shouldn't be scared because of that, because that is how this market moves. That is just the natural result of people's investment habits. When people see that the prices are shooting up, people who aren't in the crypto world hear about that. People hear about it on CNN and on Bloomberg, on CNBC, on BBC, wherever they get their finance news. If they're reading Forbes, they will hear about it. And a lot of dumb money is going to flow in really quickly, fear of missing out. All that money is going to be pushed in. And the prices will reach an unprecedented high because all that money is flowing in addition to the healthier, more mature market we have now being on a higher baseline. This is our baseline now. Look at this. This has been our baseline since the beginning of the year, since February. Our baseline has been somewhere in the 2/3 of 10,000 area. That has been the baseline we keep returning to. Before that, the baseline was $200 that we kept returning to. Now our baseline is at 6,000. That is 30 times the baseline we had before the last bull run. So if we get all the dumb money flowing in, all the fear of missing out, on top of this significantly higher baseline, on this better infrastructure that we have now, with advanced technologies that we didn't have before, we will see a ridiculously high spike that we've never seen before, and this was actually necessary for that. This crash, this was necessary. Because only when prices fall do people who were flooding into the market of speculation leave. And only then can we develop as a market, as an industry. Only then can we develop new technologies, can we work on our infrastructure, can we work on our use cases, on developing new technologies, better technologies, new interfaces, new strategies for mass adoption, on regulation. That has been the big thing the last year because of just how high the price went the last time. Like, regulation is one of those things. It took time. We are now slowly but surely getting more and more of that in different countries. All of these things take time. All of these can't happen in a ridiculous bull run that is full of people just investing off speculation. And I think it's so refreshing that Ohanian and Tan recognize this, and they recognize it so clearly. They know exactly what is going on here. All the greedy speculators are scattering, and it realigns and incentivizes the people who are building to just build. And those are the people who will build the foundation for a future with higher prices, with more potential than ever before, where cryptocurrency will change the way the world works. We are very close to something huge here. Now, when that next bull market will happen, anyone who tells you they know exactly when it will happen is lying. It could happen tomorrow, it could happen in a year, it could happen in 2025. The only thing that I unquestionably know, because we're building this infrastructure, we are developing so much institutional money is flowing into companies that are working on cryptocurrencies. We know that next bull run is happening, we just don't know when. But when it does happen, we have this much higher baseline, we have an infrastructure that we couldn't have even dreamed of before. We have mass adoption and mass appeal and mass understanding of cryptocurrency of a level that was unheard of just a year ago. A year ago, people didn't know what Bitcoin was. Now everybody knows what Bitcoin is. Some of them might be uninformed on cryptocurrency, some of them might not understand exactly what it is. But if you tell someone Bitcoin, they will have heard that before. They will have a general vague idea of what it is. And that's what we need for mass adoption. We need people to be aware, and then the next time a bull market happens, all these people will flow in. And it will go ridiculously high, and it will pop, because it will be a speculation bubble. But after it popped, it will still be so much higher than we've ever seen it before. And during that time, so much innovation will happen, people will develop their technologies, people will develop networks that are so much superior than anything we've seen before. We see it now with what some companies are doing, some of the cryptocurrencies that were launched this year, some of the projects that, and even ones that weren't launched this year but that were developed further this year, they are way ahead of anything we have seen before technology-wise. And we now have companies in the cryptosphere that have valuations of billions. We have Coinbase with an $8 billion valuation. We have Ripple with, how much funding do they have? 20 billion? I think EOS also has $4 billion in funding. We have all these companies with so much funding. Just think of all the development that can be done with that money. All the infrastructure that can be built. all the lobbying that can be done with that money. Like, the future for crypto is so bright. And these crashes, most notably the one from late 2017, early 2018, but also the one from before when we went to 1,000. And I'm pretty sure around 2010 there was a similar one. This isn't the first time we see these crashes. These are necessary because these inject a lot of money into crypto. These let a lot of new people know about crypto. And then when it crashes, all the people we wouldn't want in the markets anyways, the people who are just speculating, who don't know what they're doing, who are putting their money into whatever the TV tells them to put their money into, all those people disappear. And what is left is a market that is bigger than before, that has better infrastructure, that has more funding, that more people are aware of, and then we can spend a couple months, a couple years developing further, and then the next time is going to be insane. And it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. And I'm glad people from traditional finance and from Silicon Valley understand this, because a lot of people invested in crypto, and a lot of people from the traditional finance world don't yet. They don't understand. A lot of people get scared when prices fall because they don't look at the bigger picture. They don't look at what that means. What it means is we're building the basis for a bull run like no one has ever seen before. And it's coming. It's the crypto revolution. It will be similar to what the internet did, but on a much larger scale. And I'm along for the ride. I hope you guys are as well. And that is just what I wanted to talk about here. Don't get scared when the prices fall. Don't fear. Don't get impatient. It's only a matter of time. We have seen the past. We know this movement will repeat in some capacity because we are building the infrastructure for the future of crypto right now, and our baseline is so much higher. Our network is so much stronger, our infrastructure, our development. We are at the best position we have ever been, and we will show the world. So keep patient. Don't pull all your money out the moment you make losses, and we're gonna get through this. And when this crypto winter is over, if you had the patience to wait it out, you will be so happy. And if you didn't have the patience to wait it out, and if you sold all your assets after the prices crashed, you will hate yourself. You will hate yourself like the people who sold Apple stock when it was worth nothing. And with that, I'm gonna end this video. Thanks so much for watching. If you aren't subscribed already, maybe consider subscribing. I put out daily videos, except right now I'm traveling and this is one I pre-recorded, but by the end of the week I will be back putting out daily news and market update and discussion videos again. Until then, I'll see you guys. Thanks for watching.